All right, welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and let's delete everything here. And what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and put in header 1, and then the ID is going to be equal to header 1. All right, and I'm just going to type in a word here, and you'll see what I'm going to do in a second. What we're going to talk about in this tutorial are fonts. Now, fonts are actually quite important, and it's kind of an art in itself picking the right font. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second here. But let's go ahead and let's add in these headers here. I'm just going to close the CSS file for just a quick second, and I might as well close the output here. So what I'm going to do is h1 header 1 is going to be I'm just going to type in fonts are cool. All right, and I'll go ahead and close that off. And what I'm going to do is, just to save a little bit of time, I'm going to copy and paste. Now, whenever you copy and paste in programming, you want to read through each code line by line. And the reason is that a lot of times when you copy and paste, what ends up happening is you end up making mistakes. And these mistakes can come out not as bugs that would crash the program, but bugs that don't make the program not work the way it's supposed to. And those are even harder to debug. Okay, so you want to go ahead, and if you copy and paste something, you want to read it line by line. It does save time if you do this. Okay, so what we need to do is you need to hop in the CSS file, and let's just go ahead, and you can see that fonts are cool, fonts are cool, fonts are cool. Okay, and if we go ahead and we type in header 1, and of course we need the 2 curly braces. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put in header 2 and header 3. Now, if you go ahead and you do this, in a lot of other programming languages, this would crash the program, meaning that you can't have a command that does the exact same thing. So you can't reference the header 1 in 2 different places. CSS and HTML is a very programmer-friendly environment, meaning that you're not going to get some major errors. But if you were to code something in like C++ or C#, that would definitely throw up an exception. JavaScript is also much easier, and it kind of just mashes everything together. All right, so there are 3 different kinds of fonts here. When it comes to the CSS and web design. So let's go ahead and let's type in font family, and the current one is Times New Roman. Let's just go ahead and let's just type in something, Courier, and a semicolon. Okay, you can see that fonts are cool has now changed. Okay, and I'm just going to copy this over into the corresponding headers. And you can see that they all change, and this all works, and it's wonderful. Okay, I'm going to close the HTML here because we don't need it. All right. Now, watch what happens is I'm going to set this up as a serif font. Okay, and I'm also going to put this up as a sans serif or sans serif, depending on where you are. All right. And the last one I'm going to do is I'm going to do mono space. Okay, and you can see that in this case these fonts are the same here, but for the most part, if you really want to, you can go ahead and capitalize this, and you want to make sure that it is serif like that. And so you can see that here are the 3 different kinds of fonts. Now, let's take a small bit of time to look at each one of these here. So you see that it says fonts are cool, and fonts are cool. So for the most part, you can see that the serif fonts have little lines at the end of each of the extensions here. And this will vary from font to font. But let's just take a look at the F of all 3 fonts here. So the first font has little lines at the end of it, but the second font doesn't. Okay. You can see that the main difference is that the first one has these and the second one does not. Now, the monospace one means that all characters have the same width. Okay, and you'll notice that in the first one, it's not quite the same. The T is a little bit less than the S, but in the monospace, the T is the exact same width as the F. So monospace fonts are really good for if you want blocky type fonts. Okay, so so if you want blocky fonts, fonts that look very very even. Serif fonts look more elegant, and sans serif fonts look more modern. That's essentially what it is. And if you're really into fonts, fonts are actually, they have this whole kind of backstory to them. You know, which fonts were used in what newspapers, which books, and which time periods. It's actually quite a bit of fun, and it's very nerdy if you want to get into it. So these are the 3 different kinds of fonts in web space. And if you really want to, you can go ahead and find out which fonts work with each family. All right, I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.